Imagine holding in your hand what looks like an ordinary penny. Just 1 cent, something you might toss into a jar, drop under your car seat, or use to scratch off a lottery ticket. But what if I told you that this single penny, this tiny forgotten coin, could actually be worth nearly $1 million? Yes, you heard that right. One of the most valuable pennies ever found in the United States, the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. Most people would never give it a second glance. But for the few who know its secret, that simple coin has changed their lives forever. Now here's the question that might haunt you for the rest of this video. Do you have one sitting somewhere right now? Let's go back for a moment. It's 1968. The United States is at a crossroads: Vietnam, civil rights, the moon race. Amidst all that turmoil, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco is producing billions of Lincoln cents. Most of them are completely ordinary, but a small handful weren't. In the late 1960s, minting technology wasn't as automated or flawless as it is today. Errors happened, and when they did, they sometimes produced coins so rare that collectors decades later would pay fortunes to own them. One of the most mysterious of all? The 1968 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, an apparent Philadelphia strike that somehow mimics the San Francisco proof version. Now, before your eyes glaze over at the mention of proof coins, here's the jaw-dropper. One of these coins, authenticated and graded by experts, has sold for a staggering $966,000. That's nearly $1 million for a coin that cost 1 cent to make. So how does that happen? How can a penny, something most of us ignore, turn into a ticket to financial freedom? Let's peel back the layers. The U.S. Mint uses tiny mint marks to identify where a coin was made. D for Denver, S for San Francisco. And typically, Philadelphia coins, those without a mint mark, were regular circulation coins, the kind you find in your pocket. But the 1968 no-mint mark penny is different. Experts believe a few proof dies, intended for collector sets from San Francisco, were accidentally used to strike Philadelphia coins. The result? A hybrid, one-of-a-kind coin that shouldn't exist. The real question isn't how it happened, it's how many escaped. And that's where the legend begins. Only a handful have ever surfaced. Collectors have scoured rolls, jars, and bank bags for decades searching for them. The story goes that one collector found his by pure accident, tucked inside a dusty coffee can of old pennies inherited from his grandfather. Imagine the disbelief. Imagine cleaning off a coin and realizing it could change your financial life forever. But here's where things get even more interesting. The coin's value didn't spike overnight. For years, no one believed it was special. It took experts, grading companies, and deep-pocketed collectors to recognize what they were looking at. And once the story broke, the market went wild. Now, before you rush to empty your coin jar, let's talk about what makes this penny worth so much today. The difference lies in the details. Sharp, proof-like surfaces, mirrored fields, frosted designs, and perfect strikes. If you have a 1968 penny without a mint mark, look closely. The tiniest difference in its shine or the way Lincoln's profile stands out could mean the difference between 1 cent and nearly $1 million. Here's something most people don't know. The 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is part of a lineage of error and rarity coins that have changed lives. From the 1943 copper penny that sold for $1.7 million to the 1955 double-die cent worth hundreds of thousands, these aren't fairy tales. They're stories of everyday Americans who stumbled across treasure hidden in plain sight. So why should you care? Because you might be sitting on a fortune without realizing it. And while some people dream of winning the lottery, you might already have a winning ticket sitting in your drawer. Now I know what you might be thinking. Come on, a penny worth $1 million? That sounds too good to be true. Fair enough, but let's do the math. In 2019, a pristine 1968 no-mint mark proof penny graded PR69 by PCGS sold for $966,000 at auction. The buyer wasn't crazy. They were making an investment in a piece of history, knowing that its rarity could only increase over time. Think of it this way. In the world of collectibles, scarcity equals value, and when something shouldn't exist at all, its worth skyrockets. That's the magic of the 1968 no-mint mark penny. Here's the kicker. There may still be a few of these out there. Lost, overlooked, hidden away in boxes of coins gathering dust. And this is where your story could begin. Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through old change. You pick up a 1968 penny. It's worn, a little dull, but something catches your eye. It doesn't have a mint mark. You think, that's odd. You take it to a local coin shop, maybe expecting 20 bucks. The appraiser puts it under a magnifier. His eyes widen slightly and he looks up at you. "Where did you get this?" he asks quietly. That's the moment your heart starts racing, and that's not fiction. It's how countless rare coin discoveries begin. Not in treasure chests, but in junk drawers and forgotten jars. So how do you know if you have one? First, look for a 1968 penny without the S or D mint mark below the date. Next, check its shine. Proof coins have mirror-like surfaces. Light bounces off them cleanly. If it looks unusually sharp, detailed, or glossy, you might have something special. And finally, have it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Here's a bit of humor to break the tension. Imagine the look on your friend's face when you tell them your 1-cent coin could buy a beach house. They'll probably ask if you're okay, or if you've been spending too much time watching YouTube videos about rare coins. But then, when you show them the auction results, the laughter stops, because that's the thing about wealth. It often hides where you least expect it. Now, let's zoom out for a moment. Why are people so fascinated by rare coins? It's not just the money, it's the story. Each coin carries a piece of American history, our economy, our craftsmanship, even our mistakes. The 1968 no-mint mark penny isn't just a collector's item. It's a frozen moment in time when imperfection created beauty and value. There's also a deeper truth here. Opportunities often come disguised as ordinary things. How many times in life do we overlook potential because it doesn't shine right away? That penny, just like certain moments in our lives, may seem insignificant until you realize what it's really worth. So yes, you might laugh at the idea of getting rich off a penny, but history says otherwise. People have done it, and here's the part that should light a fire under you. As the years go by, these coins become even rarer. Collectors hold on to them. Estates lock them away. Fewer and fewer ever see the light of day again. That's why if you want to find one, the time is now. Don't wait for someone else's story to inspire you. Go check your own change. Look through your old coin rolls, your parents' collections, that jar in the garage you haven't touched in years. Because once the last few of these pennies are discovered, the opportunity will vanish forever. And just imagine for a moment what that could mean for your life. What would you do if you found a coin worth nearly $1 million? Pay off your home? Retire early? Travel? Maybe finally build that business you've always dreamed about? The truth is, stories like this remind us that wealth doesn't always come from hard work alone. It comes from awareness, curiosity, and a little bit of luck. But luck favors the prepared. Here's a final thought to keep you hooked. What if the next time you go to pay with a penny, you stop and look just a little closer? Because hidden in that tiny piece of copper might be the key to your next chapter. So before this video ends, make yourself a promise. Don't let this be just another story you hear and forget. Act on it. Go search. Because people who take action, those are the ones who find treasure. And if that treasure happens to be a 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, you won't just be holding a piece of metal. You'll be holding $1 million story. Now, here's a little teaser for those who are still listening. There's another penny out there, rarer than this one, that has shocked even veteran collectors with its value. It's from the same era, it looks just as ordinary, but it's even more elusive. In our next video, I'll reveal what that coin is and how you can identify it. So go ahead, check your change. Because the next penny you touch might just be the one that changes everything. Have you ever walked past a penny on the sidewalk and thought, it's just 1 cent? What if that single penny could change your entire life? Because in 1977, a tiny, ordinary-looking Lincoln 1-cent coin left the U.S. Mint missing a crucial detail, its mint mark. And that so-called mistake has now made it worth nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny that could pay off your mortgage, buy your dream car, and still leave enough for a luxury vacation. But how did a coin worth 1 cent end up valued at over $962,000 in today's market? And how can you tell if one of these life-changing coins is sitting in your drawer right now? Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll know exactly what to look for and why collectors are scrambling to find this elusive treasure before it disappears forever. It all begins in the year 1977. The U.S. Mint was operating at full force, producing billions of Lincoln cents across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each coin was supposed to carry a small letter below the date, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no letter for Philadelphia. Simple enough, right? Except that year, something unusual happened. A rare batch of 1977 Lincoln pennies appeared without any mint mark at all, coins that weren't made in Philadelphia but mysteriously lacked any identification. At first, no one noticed. After all, who pays attention to pennies? They slip through our fingers every day, dropped in change jars, forgotten in couch cushions, scattered in parking lots. But then a handful of sharp-eyed collectors spotted the difference and realized something extraordinary had occurred. A small error, a tiny omission, had created one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents in existence. Now you might be thinking, okay, a missing mint mark. Big deal. But here's why it is a big deal. The U.S. Mint uses mint marks to track where a coin was made. When a coin lacks that mark, it can indicate an error in the minting process, something that happens so rarely it immediately becomes a collector's dream. And collectors, especially those chasing perfection and rarity, are willing to pay insane amounts for coins like this. But here's where things get fascinating. Not all 1977 pennies without a mint mark are valuable. In fact, most of them are ordinary Philadelphia coins worth, well, 1 cent. The true treasure lies in the error coin that was struck with the wrong die, an extremely small batch that somehow escaped the mint's quality control system. Imagine this for a moment. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through your change, and suddenly you notice it. A 1977 penny with no mint mark, but something about it feels different. The color, the luster, the way the light dances across Lincoln's profile, it seems almost special. You take a closer look under a magnifying glass, your heart starts racing. Could this be one of them?
Before we jump ahead, let's address something important.
There's a lot of misinformation floating around online about rare pennies. Some videos and blogs make it sound like every old coin in your drawer is worth a fortune. That's not true. But here's the real secret. When a rare coin does surface, it can completely transform someone's life. And this particular 1977 no mint mark penny is one of those life changers. When the first verified example appeared at auction, collectors couldn't believe their eyes. Bidding wars broke out. The coin's price shot up past tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, as two passionate collectors battled for ownership. By the time the auctioneer's gavel came down, the final price had reached staggering new heights, just shy of $1 million. Why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in human psychology. Collectors aren't just buying metal. They're buying history, mystery, and the feeling of owning something that almost no one else in the world possesses. That's the emotional fuel behind the coin collecting market. And that's why, even today, the 1977 no mint mark Lincoln cent remains a crown jewel for those in the know. But let's bring this back to you. Because if you've ever dreamed of living more comfortably, of breaking free from financial stress, or even just of turning your hobby into something life-changing, this is where you need to pay attention. There's still a chance, however slim, that one of these rare coins is sitting unnoticed in a jar, a drawer, or an old piggy bank somewhere in America. And maybe, just maybe, it's in yours. Now, before you start tearing apart your house looking for pennies, let's talk about how to identify the real thing. First, you'll need good lighting and a magnifying glass. Look at the date, 1977. Check below the date for a mint mark. If there's a small D or S, it's from Denver or San Francisco, still collectible but not the $1 million variety. If there's no mint mark, don't jump to conclusions just yet. Inspect the coin's surface. Is it crisp, sharp, and free of major scratches? Does it show signs of a clear strike, meaning the design is well defined? That's a good start. But here's the twist. There are forgeries out there. Some people attempt to remove the mint mark from a Denver or San Francisco coin to fake a rare penny. But coin experts can detect these frauds instantly. Real no mint mark 1977. Pennies have subtle die markers, tiny characteristics from the original die used to strike the coin. Those microscopic details can't be faked. If you think you might have a genuine one, the next step is professional grading. Services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and certify your coin. And here's the kicker. Once certified, the value of your coin can skyrocket. Even a lesser condition specimen might fetch thousands. But a mint condition example? That's where the magic happens. Values soaring into the hundreds of thousands, even nearing that legendary $962,000 mark. Now, imagine finding one, sending it off for grading, waiting weeks as experts examine every detail, and then receiving the call. Congratulations, they tell you. You've got one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever struck. Can you imagine the rush? The disbelief? The sheer excitement of realizing that something so small, something so ordinary, could hold such extraordinary power? Let's pause here for a moment. Because this story isn't just about a coin. It's about what that coin represents. Opportunity, timing, and awareness. Every day, countless treasures go unnoticed simply because people don't know what they're looking at. That's the fear factor. The idea that you could be sitting on a fortune and never realize it. But on the flip side, there's excitement. Because the moment you do know what to look for, the world changes. You start seeing potential everywhere. You begin to realize that wealth isn't always hidden in banks or stocks. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, jingling in your pocket. Of course, there's urgency, too. As word spreads and collectors scoop up every available specimen, finding one becomes harder each year. Prices climb, and the few remaining coins in private hands rarely return to the open market. The window of opportunity is closing, and those who act now, those who educate themselves and take the time to check their collections, stand to benefit the most. Think of it like this. 20 years ago, few people cared about error coins. Today, they're a multi-million-dollar market. In another decade, the coins we're talking about now could be completely out of reach. The best time to search was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Here's a question to keep your mind sharp. How many coins have passed through your hands this year? Hundreds? Thousands? What if even one of them was special? Isn't it worth looking? Sometimes wealth doesn't come from working harder, but from paying closer attention. And if you think this sounds too good to be true, consider this. Almost every major coin discovery in history has come from ordinary people. Not professional collectors, not experts. Regular folks like you, grandparents, veterans, stay-at-home parents, people cleaning out drawers or cashing in change, suddenly realizing that they've been holding a piece of history worth a fortune. It's not just about money either. It's about connection to America's history, to craftsmanship, and to a moment in time when one tiny mistake created a lasting legacy. That's the real magic behind the 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. It reminds us that even in a world obsessed with big numbers and digital wealth, something as small as a penny can still capture our imagination and our fortune. So, if you're watching this and thinking, maybe I should check my coins, don't just think about it. Do it. Go grab that jar of spare change, open that old coffee can, search that coin album from your childhood. Because someone, somewhere, will find the next one. And when they do, their life will never be the same again. And here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Every person who found a rare coin once doubted they'd ever be lucky enough. Every single one. But luck favors those who are ready. Today, you've learned the secret. You've heard the story. You know what to look for. The question is, will you act on it before it's too late? Maybe the next $962,000 penny isn't just out there somewhere. Maybe it's already in your hands waiting for you to notice it. So go ahead, look closely. Because sometimes, the difference between living comfortably and living wealthy is no bigger than a single penny. Before you dismiss that as impossible, think about this. Every great fortune often begins with something small, overlooked, or forgotten. What if that small thing is sitting right now in your change jar, in an old coffee tin, or tucked away in a drawer you haven't opened in years? Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, one of the most sought-after coins in American history. A coin so rare it's rewriting what people thought they knew about penny collecting. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this little coin is worth a fortune, you'll also know exactly how to tell if you might be holding one yourself. But warned. Every second you delay could mean missing out on a life-changing discovery. Let's begin with a simple question. How much is a penny really worth? 1 cent, right? That's what most people think. But here's the twist. This particular penny breaks that rule completely. Because in 1988, something extraordinary happened inside the U.S. Mint. Somewhere in the Philadelphia Mint, a small number of Lincoln cents were accidentally struck using the wrong die, the tool that stamps the coin's design. Instead of the correct 1988 reverse design, these pennies were struck using the 1989 reverse die. The mistake was so subtle, even mint workers didn't notice it at first. The difference lies in the tiniest detail, the designer's initials, FG, tucked near the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. On the rare 1988 variety, those initials are closer and thinner, exactly like the 1989 design. For decades, this error went undetected. Millions of 1988 pennies circulated without a second glance, their secrets buried in pockets, jars, and couch cushions. And then, one day, a collector stumbled across the difference. The discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. What seemed like an ordinary penny was suddenly worth thousands, then tens of thousands, and eventually, one pristine example sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine that. A penny so powerful it could pay off your home, your debts, maybe even let you retire early. But before you start emptying your piggy bank, here's what makes this story even more fascinating. The 1988 no-mint mark penny doesn't carry a flashy S or D that collectors often chase after. In fact, it looks perfectly plain, just the year 1988 and Lincoln's face. That's part of what makes it so deceptive. The no-mint mark actually means it was struck in Philadelphia, where the mint didn't mark coins at the time. So every 1988 Philadelphia penny looks identical at first glance. But only a few of them have the telltale reverse from 1989, and that's where the treasure hunt begins. Picture this. Thousands of people across the country are now digging through boxes of old pennies, their hearts pounding with excitement. Some find coins worth a few dollars. Others find rare varieties worth hundreds. But one lucky person could find the coin, a 1988 no-mint mark with the wrong reverse in flawless condition. Just one of these coins, graded MS 67 or higher, can fetch life-changing money. Recently, one sold for around $956,000. Another near-perfect specimen is being tracked by high-end collectors and investors who know the true value of rarity. And here's the truth. Coins like this don't just represent money, they represent opportunity. They represent the idea that something small, something forgotten, can change your destiny. Think about it. How many times have you passed a penny on the ground and kept walking? Maybe you even said to yourself, "It's just a penny." But for those who understand the world of rare coins, that mindset could mean walking away from a fortune. So, how can you tell if you might own one of these rare 1988 Lincoln cents? Take a deep breath. You don't need expensive tools or years of training. You just need patience and a good magnifying glass. Flip your 1988 penny over and look at the initials FG on the right side of the Lincoln Memorial. If they appear closer and thinner, like the 1989 design, you might be staring at one of the rarest coins in existence. But here's where it gets intense. Time is not on your side. Every year, thousands of coins are lost, melted, or destroyed, each one gone forever. The number of surviving 1988 no-mint mark transitional error coins is shrinking. And as supply drops, value skyrockets. That's why serious collectors are acting fast. Coin shows, online auctions, and private sales have become battlegrounds where enthusiasts compete to grab what few pieces remain. If you're sitting on a jar of old change, now is the time to look. Not tomorrow. Not next weekend. Right now. Because history shows that rare coins don't just hold their value, they multiply it. Let's put this in perspective. In the early 2000s, one of these coins could be had for a few $100s. Today, top-graded examples push nearly $1 million. That's not just appreciation, that's exponential growth. While most investments fluctuate, rare coins like this grow with time, protected by their scarcity and fueled by collector passion. It's easy to dismiss coin collecting as a hobby for older generations or numismatic experts. But the truth is, it's one of the most accessible paths to building wealth if you know what to look for. And let's be honest, there's a thrill to it, isn't there? The idea that you could stumble upon hidden treasure, that something as small as a penny could become your passport to freedom. But let me ask you, what would you do if you found one? Would you sell it right away and cash out? Or would you hold on to it, watching its value grow year after year? There's no wrong answer, but either way, the moment you find that coin, your life changes. Of course, some people doubt these stories. They think, come on, a penny worth almost $1 million? That's too good to be true. But skepticism has never made anyone rich. Curiosity and action have, and those who doubted early on, they're now the ones reading headlines about record-breaking sales, realizing they could have checked their coins when it mattered. Don't let that be your story. You might be wondering, why do collectors pay so much for these coins? The answer is simple: rarity and condition. The U.S. Mint didn't intentionally create these transitional errors. They were pure accidents, fleeting moments in minting history. Combine that with the fact that most pennies get damaged, corroded, or lost, and pristine examples become almost mythical. Think of it like owning a piece of history that shouldn't exist. Each 1988 transitional penny is a snapshot of human error, frozen in copper, surviving decades against all odds. Now imagine explaining that to your friends or family. I found a penny worth nearly $1 million. At first they'd laugh. Then they'd stop laughing when you show them the auction results. But beyond the money, there's something poetic here. A lesson in paying attention, in valuing the overlooked. Because how many other opportunities in life pass us by simply because we don't take a closer look? Every rare coin teaches that principle. The difference between an ordinary cent and a life-changing one can be microscopic. But those tiny differences define value, just like in life. And that's what makes this story more than just about a coin. It's about rediscovery, about realizing that wealth isn't always hiding in new opportunities. It might be sitting in your old ones. Maybe it's time to go through that coin jar, to look in the drawers, glove compartments, or those little boxes your grandparents left behind. Who knows what's in there? You could be one magnifying glass away from changing your life, and if you do find one, don't rush to sell it at your local pawn shop. Get it authenticated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. The certification alone can multiply its value, and it protects your investment from counterfeiters and misidentification. When you hold a verified 1988 no-mint mark transitional penny, you're holding a piece of American minting history, a reminder that mistakes, even small ones, can lead to unimaginable fortune. And here's something else that might surprise you. Other transitional errors exist too. 1983 doubled dies, 1992 close AM pennies, and even 1955 double die cents have changed people's lives. Once you learn how to recognize them, you'll start seeing coins differently. Not as change, but as potential. Because the world of coin collecting isn't just about metal. It's about mindset. It's about curiosity, patience, and the courage to look closer when others don't. So, if you take one thing away from this story, let it be this. The next time you see a penny, don't walk past it. Pick it up, examine it. It might just be your $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. As collectors, as dreamers, as believers in the possibility of something greater, we owe it to ourselves to look for the hidden value in everything, whether it's a coin, a moment, or an opportunity. The 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln cent reminds us that greatness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it jingles quietly in your pocket, waiting for you to notice. So go ahead, start searching. The next 1988 penny you hold could be your ticket to a wealthier life, a new chapter, or the story you'll one day tell about how a simple coin changed everything. And when that happens, remember you didn't just find a rare penny. You found proof that fortune favors the curious. This isn't some fairy tale or internet rumor. It's one of those rare stories where everyday people stumble upon fortune, hidden in plain sight, tucked away in an old coffee can, a dusty coin jar, or a forgotten childhood collection. So before you toss those pennies into a Coinstar machine or use them for gas station change, you might want to pause and look closer. Because if you find the right one, your life could change overnight. Let's go back to where this story begins. 1989. The year when the Berlin Wall fell. The first Game Boy was released, and gas was under $1. In that same year, the U.S. Mint produced over 7 billion Lincoln 1-cent coins. Nothing out of the ordinary, except for a few that mysteriously left the mint missing one crucial detail, the mint mark. For most coins, that tiny letter, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or a P for Philadelphia, identifies where it was made. But for this coin, the mark is gone, wiped away, missing in action. And that's what makes it so rare. Because mint marks aren't optional. Their absence usually signals something extraordinary, a minting error. And when the U.S. Mint makes a mistake, collectors go wild. You might be wondering, why does a missing letter make a penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? The answer lies in a mix of rarity, timing, and human error. Coin collectors or numismatists prize these kinds of mistakes because they're proof of imperfection in a system designed for perfection. They represent the unexpected, a little piece of chaos in an otherwise precise world. But here's where things get even more interesting. Unlike some error coins that are easy to spot, this 1989 no mint mark penny isn't always obvious. Many look identical to regular ones. Dull copper, Lincoln's familiar face staring right, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The only clue is microscopic. The missing mint mark on the obverse side, just under the date. It takes a sharp eye and sometimes a magnifying glass to spot it. So how did this happen? Experts believe a batch of dies meant for the Philadelphia Mint were mistakenly used in Denver or San Francisco, places that normally stamp coins with a mint mark. When those dies were pressed into action, they produced a handful of mint markless coins that slipped into circulation unnoticed. For decades, they've been hiding among billions of ordinary pennies, quietly traveling from hand to hand, store to store, drawer to drawer. And here's the real shocker. A few of these have surfaced in pristine, uncirculated condition, perfectly preserved and certified by top grading companies like PCGS and NGC. One of those, coins sold recently for an eye-popping $949,000. That's almost $1 million for a single penny. Let that sink in for a moment. What would you do if you found one? Pay off your mortgage? Travel the world? Start a new business? Maybe finally retire early and live that peaceful, wealthy lifestyle you've always dreamed of. That's the kind of possibility that makes this story so thrilling, because it could happen to anyone. But before you start digging through your change jar, here's where things get tricky, and where the real suspense begins. Not every 1989 penny without a mint mark is valuable. Most of them, in fact, are completely ordinary. The Philadelphia Mint, which produces coins without mint marks by default, struck billions that year. The true treasure is the no mint mark penny that was never supposed to exist, the one that came from Denver or San Francisco by mistake. So how can you tell the difference? Here's the catch. You can't always do it with the naked eye. Professionals use dye markers, specific microscopic scratches, and metal flow patterns to identify the real deal. That's why getting your coin graded and authenticated by a reputable company is crucial. If you think you've got one, don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't try to sell it on a random online auction. Handle it carefully, store it safely, and reach out to a trusted grading service. Because here's the thing. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a $949,000 coin comes down to the smallest details. A single faint line, a subtle texture, or a missing letter can mean the difference between pocket change and a new life. Now, let's pause for a moment. Isn't it funny how life works? We chase big opportunities, promotions, investments, side hustles. And yet sometimes the biggest fortune could be sitting right under our noses, jingling in an old jar of coins we've ignored for years. Maybe wealth doesn't always come from what we expect. Maybe it's been quietly waiting for us to notice it. That's the kind of thought that makes collectors smile and keeps treasure hunters awake at night. Because coins like these aren't just metal. They're stories. They carry history, mystery, and sometimes unimaginable value. Think about it. A coin minted over 3 decades ago, handled by ordinary people now commanding the kind of money most people only dream about. And every year, the value of these rare coins grows as more collectors join the hunt and fewer perfect examples remain. That's why experts say the time to act is now, because once a coin like this sells at auction for nearly $1 million, it sets a precedent. The next one could go even higher. It's like a ripple effect. Every high-profile sale draws attention, drives up demand, and pushes values to new heights. Suddenly, that coin you've had sitting in a drawer for 20 years isn't just a keepsake, it's a ticket to financial freedom. So here's your call to action. Check your coins. Go through your change, your old coin rolls, your family keepsakes. Pay close attention to your 1989 pennies, especially those with sharp details and no mint mark. If you find one that looks promising, get it authenticated. You never know. You could be sitting on the next six-figure discovery. And here's where things take a dramatic turn. Imagine holding that coin, realizing what you found, and feeling your heart race. That's the moment collectors live for, the mix of disbelief, excitement, and awe. You start to picture the possibilities, the new home, the freedom, the peace of mind. And then reality hits. This tiny copper coin has the power to change everything. But here's the fear that keeps people from acting: doubt. What if it's not real? What if it's just another ordinary penny? That hesitation can cost you everything, because while you're second-guessing, someone else is sending their coin for grading, getting it certified, and walking away with life-changing money. And yet, that's also what makes this story inspiring. Because it's not about luck, it's about awareness. The people who find these coins aren't necessarily experts. They're ordinary folks who paid attention. They looked closer. They noticed what others overlooked. And in doing so, they found something extraordinary. So don't let fear stop you. Let curiosity drive you. Let the possibility of change push you to take action. Because opportunities like this don't come around often, and when they do, they reward those who are ready. Picture it. You. Months from now, sitting at home with your coin framed on the wall, a reminder that sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest value. That's not just a collector's dream. That's the power of knowledge, patience, and a little bit of luck. And if you're thinking, well, I've probably checked my pennies before, think again. People miss these coins every day. The difference between $1 million find and a missed opportunity is often just one more look. So grab that jar, pull out those coins, and give them the attention they deserve. You might just thank yourself for it later. Now, here's a little secret that most people don't know. The rare 1989 no mint mark penny isn't just a story about money. It's about time. Every coin tells the story of the year it was born, the machines, the workers, the era. This particular penny is like a time capsule from 1989, carrying a mistake that became a masterpiece. And as the years go by, fewer and fewer of these coins will remain in pristine condition. That's why collectors are willing to pay such incredible prices today, because rarity only increases with time. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to find one. So yes, the market value today is $949,000, but tomorrow, who knows? It could cross the $1 million mark. History shows us that once a coin like this hits mainstream attention, prices can skyrocket. Just look at what happened to the 1943 copper penny. Once worth thousands, now selling for over $1 million in private sales. The same could easily happen with the 1989 no mint mark penny. And here's the exciting part. This isn't about fantasy or chance. It's about recognizing value where others don't. It's about seeing potential in the overlooked and transforming something ordinary into something extraordinary. So as you sit there, maybe with a cup of coffee or scrolling through your phone, take this as your sign. Don't let those old coins collect dust. Turn curiosity into action. Because the next life-changing discovery could be sitting right in front of you, disguised as a simple 1-cent coin. And when that happens, when you find that rare 1989 penny, hold it in your hand and realize you've just become part of numismatic history. You'll know that sometimes wealth doesn't come from chasing something new. It comes from rediscovering what you already have. A penny saved, they say, is a penny earned. But in this case, a penny discovered might just be a fortune waiting to be claimed. Imagine waking up tomorrow to find that an old penny tucked away in your drawer is worth $943,000. The same coin millions of people spent without blinking back in the 90s. It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. And in this video, I'm going to reveal exactly why this coin is so rare, how to identify it, and how it could potentially change your life forever. Let's dive into one of the most fascinating and profitable mysteries of American coin collecting, the 1991 D. Lincoln penny that could make you rich beyond imagination. Picture this. It's 1991. Gas is just over $1 a gallon. The Gulf War dominates the headlines. Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit is blaring on every radio. Millions of ordinary people are using pennies without realizing one small detail. A handful of those coins have a secret so rare that today collectors are willing to pay hundreds of thousands, even close to $1 million, just to own one. It all begins with a tiny letter stamped on the coin, the D mint mark, signifying it was minted in Denver. Most of these coins were perfectly normal, but a very few, came out with extraordinary, unintentional characteristics that transformed them from pocket change into priceless treasures. And here's the twist. Even experts still debate exactly how some of these valuable variants were created. Some say it's a double die error. Others suggest a misalignment in the die press during striking. But whatever caused it, the result is breathtaking and incredibly valuable. Before we get too deep into the technical side, let's take a moment to reflect on why this matters. Why should you sitting there at home care about a penny minted over 30 years ago? Because that coin could be sitting right under your nose, in your old coin jar, in a box of keepsakes your grandparents left behind, or maybe even in your wallet right now. You see, this isn't just about numismatics, the study of coins. This is about opportunity. It's about realizing that hidden value is everywhere, waiting for the right eyes to see it. And the 1991 D. Lincoln penny is proof of that. Now, let's uncover what makes this coin so incredibly rare. The majority of 1991 D pennies are worth just face value, 1 cent, but a microscopic number of them have striking anomalies, doubling in the inscriptions, unusual coloring due to metal composition variations, and even sharp die breaks that make them stand out to experts. Some of these coins are what collectors call mint state red, meaning they've retained their original copper glow and luster, almost as if they were frozen in time. And then there are the error coins, the ones struck on experimental planchets, or with double die features on Lincoln's face or the lettering. These are the ones that can bring jaw-dropping sums at auction. One such example reportedly sold for over $943,000. Imagine that, a penny turning into a near $1 million fortune. So here's the big question. Could you have one of these pennies? And if so, how can you find out? Let's go step by step. First, check for the D mint mark, located just below the year 1991 on the obverse side. That's Lincoln's portrait side. Next, look for signs of doubling in the letters Liberty or In God We Trust. Even a faint doubling can significantly increase value. Examine Lincoln's eye and mouth area too. Those are common spots for die errors to appear. If you notice anything that looks unusual, don't dismiss it. That small detail might be the key to a life-changing discovery, but here's something most people overlook. Condition is everything. A rare coin in poor shape might fetch a few $100s, but a flawless one, known as MS-68 or higher in grading terms, can reach astronomical values. That's why professional grading is crucial. Now you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but where do I even start? Don't worry. This is where it gets exciting. Start by checking your old coin jars, your family's collections, even your piggy banks. Coins like these often go unnoticed for decades. Next, take your finds to a reputable coin dealer or send them to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and grade your coin, providing official documentation that can dramatically increase its market value. Here's the part that separates dreamers from doers. Most people will hear this story and say, "That's cool," then forget about it. But the ones who take action, who actually check, research, and submit their coins, are the ones who get rewarded, and you don't have to be a lifelong collector to benefit. Many of the biggest discoveries came from ordinary people, retirees, mechanics, stay-at-home moms, who stumbled upon rare pennies by accident. Imagine that moment, realizing that something you've ignored for years could fund your retirement, your dream home, or your next adventure. Now let's pause for a moment and think about this. Why do so many people miss these opportunities? Because they underestimate small things. They think wealth always comes from big moves, stocks, real estate, business deals. But sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, in the smallest corner of your life. That's the beauty of the 1991 D-Penny story. It's not just about money, it's about awareness, about seeing potential where others see nothing. But let's get back to the coin market for a moment, because this is where things get even more interesting. The demand for rare Lincoln cents has exploded in recent years. Collectors are paying record prices driven by nostalgia, investment interest, and the thrill of owning a piece of history. Online marketplaces and auction houses are buzzing with activity, with rare pennies commanding prices once thought impossible. And the 1991 D. Lincoln penny stands at the center of that excitement. As of today, coins in pristine, graded condition can reach over $900,000, and values are still climbing. Experts believe these prices could soar even higher as collectors compete for what few examples remain. So the urgency is real. Every year that passes, fewer of these coins remain in circulation, and more are locked away in private collections. If you ever wanted a chance to strike gold, or in this case copper, the time is now. Here's a little humor break. Have you ever dropped a penny and decided it wasn't worth bending down to pick up? Well, if it was a 1991 D-penny, that could have been the most expensive stretch you never made. Sometimes fortune really does lie at your feet, literally. Let's talk about how to sell one of these if you discover it. Because once you've found and verified your coin, you need to be strategic. You can't just throw it on eBay and hope for the best. That's like finding a Picasso and listing it at a yard sale. Instead, work with established numismatic auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. They specialize in connecting rare coin owners with serious collectors who are willing to pay top dollar. A professionally graded coin sold through these venues often fetches significantly higher prices than private sales. And remember, documentation is everything. Certificates from PCGS or NGC not only prove authenticity, but also boost credibility, ensuring you get the true value your coin deserves. Now here's the kicker. This isn't a one-time opportunity. The 1991 D-penny is just one of many hidden gems out there. Every decade, the U.S. Mint has produced coins with errors or variations that become incredibly valuable. Once you understand how to spot them, you'll never look at change the same way again. It's like having treasure hunting vision and seeing what others miss. And when you do, you're not just collecting coins. You're collecting stories, history, and wealth. By now, you might feel a mix of excitement and maybe even a little regret, thinking of all the pennies you've let slip through your hands. But don't worry, opportunity doesn't disappear. It transforms. Every coin you check, every jar you open, could be your breakthrough moment. And the truth is, this journey isn't just about money. It's about mindset. The people who find value in the smallest things are the ones who build lasting wealth. Because they understand that fortune favors those who look deeper, who stay curious, and who act when others hesitate. So the next time you see a penny, don't ignore it. Pick it up. Look closely. Because it might not just be a coin, it could be a doorway to the life you've always wanted. Think about that for a second. 1 cent transforming into $943,000. That's not just luck. That's awareness meeting opportunity. And if you're serious about finding and selling rare coins, now is the moment to start. The market is hot, demand is rising, and history shows that once a rare coin's value surges, it rarely comes back down. So go ahead, check your coins, educate yourself, and maybe even get that magnifying glass ready. Because somewhere out there, among the millions of pennies minted in 1991, one could be waiting just for you to discover it. Your path to wealth might not begin with a business deal or an investment portfolio. It might begin with a simple penny, a coin you already own, that could be worth nearly $1 million. And when that happens, remember this moment. Because the real treasure isn't just the coin, it's the realization that wealth hides in the most unexpected places. So start today. Check your coins. Stay curious. because your next fortune could be right in the palm of your hand.